Hi everyone, it's Patrick. I was feeling a little bored, as one does in quarantine. Decided to do a sketch in my sketchbook, and I'll show you a few of them. So yeah, I really want to do a new sketch, and I have absolutely no plan, but I'm very excited, so thanks for watching. Sweet, so this is usually how my process goes. I use pretty simple tools. I have a super fine, for me, tip marker, and then I have another one that has two different settings. One that is pretty wide, and then another that is more thin. So I usually will start with some sort of outline, or maybe a couple. As I'm kind of closing up the box, I will start to think of an idea. I try not to wait too long and just put something down on the page. So I've decided to divide the section into two. And I really like simple shapes, like circles and squares, as you can see, and so that's another way to just get started. I'm really inspired by nature and the moon, and so I was kind of thinking of moon cycles here. So now for this second layer, the bottom portion, I decided to go with something a little bit more organic. Didn't really like where I placed the lines the first time, so I decided to go in with another line to kind of bring the balance back into the middle of the composition versus the top. Kind of just went with this pattern after that. At this point, I wanted to start bringing some darker values in, so I brought out my marker that is thicker. I'm just trying to block out some color in the darker portion, and then I'll go back in and add more layers and use a little bit more detail around the edges. Here's a portion where if I mess up, I can just fix it later by making the bottom a little bit more extended. Honestly, I don't really strive for perfection with these, so even if it's not perfect, I don't really care as long as it looks good enough. Try not to stress out too much on things that are supposed to be fun. Sometimes I like getting to this portion of the project where I have to fill in sections with color, or in this case black, because it kind of gives me a break from having to constantly think of something new for the drawing to come next. But I do take this time to really look at what's going on compositionally and think of ideas for later. So I'm gonna go back in with my finer pen, and I usually use stippling or lines or cross hatching to kind of get the illusion of gray. So as I'm filling in this section, I am thinking about what comes next for this composition. I try not to use too many different techniques within one composition, so here I'm just using the same stippling effect, but just in a different way so I can get a little bit of separation from the top and the bottom. I'm not sure what is going to be black, what's going to be white, and what's going to be in between in the top composition, but adding a layer of stippling here really will help divide them, and I can figure out the rest later. And I definitely do this for a while. As I fill in this last section, I'm thinking about what comes next, per usual. So here I'm gonna continue the same circle theme as I kind of talked about earlier, of just sticking with one thing or a couple of things, but not trying to do them all, not trying to do stippling, cross-hatching, a bunch of shapes, etc. This is a little technique I like of just filling in the corners, the hardest to reach sections whenever I'm filling in bigger sections, so that it's easier to just lay down color and avoid having to do the detail. Hand is definitely blocking the shot here. Kinda knew it, this. Don't hold it against me, please. Now time to distract myself by filling in other things and avoid having to think through what happens next. But also, this section needs it, so it works. At this point, I'm trying to think through what else this needs and what I should do to these circles. I decided that I can use this thing in the center and just continue out the lines to kind of lead people's eyes around the composition and create some energy. Middle section is looking a little bit skimpy, so I decided to thicken it up a little bit. I decided to add these little bits here because I felt like it helped connect the bottom circles or half circles better. So, similarly like what I said earlier, decided to bring dots into this composition because it will help unite it with the bottom one better and create a little bit more balance. Here's an example of these lines are not perfect, but it also doesn't really matter that much. And for the finishing touches. Wow, I'm so proud. We made a thing. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Here's the final sketch up close. And then usually before I post them, I just run it through a couple filters and up the contrast a little bit in case any of the black areas aren't completely filled in. Yeah, and that's my process. Thanks for watching.